Hello, thank you and welcome to Real Talk. Well, we have the 2017 property figures, and this is one of my favourite blogs to do because it's something that we always wait for. And the real surprise for me was Canberra, 18% growth, followed by Melbourne at 8.9% growth, which shows a nice cooling off of the market, particularly given that it did eclipse 20% growth during about August this year. So we've seen quite a cooling down in the last 5 months. The next suburb next to that was Hobart, and the next city is Hobart, 7.9%, which is amazing. I was down there over Christmas, Taste of Tasmania. The whole place is abuzz with Mona and all of the arts and the festivals, and the amount of tourism going there is just incredible. And I really think we can see more growth out of Hobart, particularly the value proposition down there. Friends of ours have a waterfront home with the most beautiful views that would equal the Sydney Harbour view, and their value is about $750,000, so there's still some room to grow there. Going around the rest of the country, Sydney, 4%, so that's a nice cooling off there. We've got Adelaide 2.1%. We've got Brisbane at 1% growth, which was quite a surprise because the Queensland government really put a lot of money into radio advertising down in Melbourne to draw people to come to Brisbane, but we certainly haven't seen a lot of push in the prices there. And Darwin, unfortunately, minus 2% growth, but it's very cyclical on the mining towns up there and what's happening in the industry, so that's probably a bit of a reflection. But overall, Australia's growth from an economic and trade point of view was 13.2%, and the US 20%, which is great. I mean, it's good to see such a massive recovery there. The share market is another good recovery. We were around about between 10 and 13% growth across the board in the share market. The banks are obviously quiet, but was a massive resurgence in the mining and the resource sectors, and that really saw quite an injection in the arm there. And of course it makes sense with the sort of investment clock. When the property starts to cool off, then shares start to kick in. And gold and oil had some very interesting results last year. Each time the market sort of moved in a positive way, gold went down. When things got a bit uncertain, gold went up. So it was quite a flutter last year. But there's certainly no talk about a crash. Everybody's been, the scaremongering, we're talking about the property's going to crash. I just can't see it happening with the population growth still coming to Australia. Certainly what the government has achieved is a total cooling of the heels of the foreign investors coming to Australia. They still are sending their children here for education. We're still #1 for education, and perhaps there'll be more that they'll put their children into rental properties for a while rather than buy until things sort themselves out. But I think that'll be the big thing to watch for the next 12 months. We saw a lot of mortgage funds spring up, a lot of private equity funds and mezzanine funds to bridge the gap for foreign buyers that weren't being availed finance through our traditional banks here. So we certainly saw some creativity around financing. We saw a great growth in the share market. We saw a nice cooling off at the top end of the property market. There's some talk about some Sydney waterfront properties actually being at what they consider a realistic value at the moment. So I think all round it's a matter of waiting and see, but it's good news. Globally, good growth. Economically, on the domestic front, good growth. The share market, good results. The property, it's good if you're trying to get into the market at the moment because there has been a cooling of the heels. In terms of investors, all my investors take note. I've got some fabulous distressed sales at the moment, mostly sales that weren't settled by foreign investors, and they're at a discount rate. So if you're interested in doing something at the moment, give me a call. South Melbourne, properties for $420,000, renting for about $400 a week. So if you do your numbers, that's positively geared. I'll close on that note, and welcome back to all who are just coming back to work this week. Take care. Thank you for listening.